Hey guys, it's Bob Fernger back with another 8-minute call. We're talking about manifestation, but have we talked about burning desire? It was about 15, 16 years ago. The company I was a part of, the direct selling company I was a part of, I was an affiliate there. And I've told you this before, I bought into the power of the internet and how there were so many more people on the internet than there would ever be that I would ever meet in real life. So, I was all in on this online selling thing long before it was a thing to be all in on. And one of the things that was a big motivator for me was I saw people doing the kind of things that I wanted to do, make the kind of money I wanted to make. Some of these people were making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I kept thinking to myself, man, and at this time I did have a lot of financial trouble, hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal debt, businesses that were failing, a marriage that was failing. It was pretty much a mess. And I needed something to work. And I see these people making the kind of money I want to make. And I just thought, listen, I got a lot of problems, but one of them is I'm not stupid. If that guy can do it, I can do it. I'm just going to do what he's doing, he or she's doing. Well, certainly I had my own spin. Certainly, my plan was just to outwork every living human being that was in that company and get to the top. A company that had been around for about 13 years before I got there. And eventually, because of one thing, yes, many other things, goals and beliefs and vision and drive and energy and determination and focus and consistency. Yes, those all came in. But let me tell you what I had. Let me tell you what I had more than anyone. And I'm not bragging. I give God all the glory. I had a burning desire. I had a burning desire to get to the top. I was highly motivated. I was highly motivated by money, but not the check. That was the scorecard. It was what the check could do, because I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and I was going to get out of debt. But more importantly, I focused on what would it feel like if I had zeroed out my debt. What would it feel like, if I wasn't afraid to go to the mailbox or answer the phone? What was that feeling having all your bills paid, all your taxes paid? Because I got behind in my taxes too. That's what I focused on, right? But I had a burning desire. I had a burning desire because things had really crumbled on me to get back on top of that mountain. I had 3 adult children at the time. They all lived close to me. So they saw their dad crumbling, something they'd never seen. And by God, I was not going to stay in that state. My children would see their dad get back on top of that mountain. And they did. But I did it because of a burning desire. And where did that come from? I started tapping into people who have burning desires. And I'm experiencing it again. And the people with the greatest burning desire, and they have no problem expressing it, are children. So I related, my adult children as they were growing up. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, when my kids wanted something, they could wear you out. I'm a pretty tough parent. My ex is pretty strict too, but man, they had their techniques. They had their ways of getting things done. They had I tell you, my middle son, James, his deal was repetition. If he wanted, because we're near Christmas, if he wanted something for Christmas, that was 3 times a day. Think about Ralphie in the Christmas Story. What did Ralphie want? He wanted that BB gun. He was focused. He was doing everything. He had a burning desire. It's so obvious in children. And we think that we as adults can't have that? My oldest child, Brian, I mean, he was just downright mean about it when he wanted something. And, sometimes you just gave in because he'd wear you down. And my third child, Jennifer, she was kind of more the subtle, manipulative type. These are all normal behaviors for kids. I'm not saying my kids were weird or anything, but here's what I am saying. They had burning desires. Now, I got two little ones. I got a 4-year-old. This guy gets, I'm telling you, I'm not saying we're trying to spoil him, and I'm being as tough as I can not to spoil him, but it sure seems to me these kids get everything they want. In his case, he works his mom different than he works me, but he has a burning desire to get his way. And the baby is already there. She's going to be the loudest, most outspoken one of them all. Now, chances are, unless you were in a bad situation, you as a kid had burning desires. I did. I remember, man, I really wanted a Stingray bike. I really wanted everyone had a Stingray bike. I didn't have a Stingray bike, but other kids did. I used guilt on my mama and my daddy. My dad just seemed to ignore me. My mom would just, well, we don't have the money for that. And I remember that Christmas day when all the presents had been opened, when everything was done and things were being cleaned up. My dad says, hey, Bob, can you help me? I think he called me Bobby. Hey, Bobby, can you help me get something out of the garage? I'm playing with my toys, whatever. And I said, sure, let's do it. And we go out there. This is like 15 minutes after all the presents are open, and my Stingray bike's out there. Now, we weren't wealthy people. We were lower end of middle class. Didn't lack, but the Stingray bike showed up. It was burning desire. Burning desire. I just don't know how you get what you want without it. I know some people, it appears as though, but, deep down inside, how does the top athlete get there? Burning desire. How does the top person in business get there? Burning desire. How does the best novelist get there? Burning desire. Now, that burning desire has to be yours, driven by your purpose, your reason why. No burning desire, I don't know where you're going in life. But isn't there things that light you on fire? Giving your children an above average life? Living in a better house? What life would be like being debt free? What life would be like without an alarm? What life would be like without being in traffic? Isn't there something that's driving you? Isn't there something that's driving you? Oh, it's got to be a burning desire. By the way, I make nothing up. Everything I share with you, I have learned from others who have had success and a burning desire. Hey, God bless. Have a great day.